Today's strategy sees us doing division sums using proportional adjustment. This follows on from a session we've already had where we used proportional adjustment to multiply, and so I'm going to spend a little bit of time recapping on the main ideas there so that the differences between using proportional adjustment for multiplication and division are fresh in your mind. So let's take a look at a simple problem, 24 times 5, and we're doing this multiplication by proportional adjustment. I'm going to multiply my 5 times 2. In other words, I'm doubling it to give me a number 10, which is always very easy to multiply with. Having done so, because I've doubled my 5, I now need to halve my 24. So you see that by doubling one, the requirement is that you halve the other. So 24 divided by 2 is 12. My new simpler version of the same sum is 12 times 10, which is 120. So that's to remind you of what happens when we use proportional adjustment to multiply. Right, now turning our attention to division, and we have a problem 216 divided by 18. Right, now the important thing to note here is that whatever activity or action you perform on one of the two numbers in the division, you have to do exactly the same to the other. So I can see that both numbers can be divided by 2. They have a factor of 2, so I'm going to go to my 18 first and divide that by 2, and that gives me a new number of 9. And I'm going to do exactly the same to my 216. 216 divided by 2 gives me 108. Now, because I know my times tables, I know that 108 divided by 9 is 12. So there you can see I have a number that I can, a division sum that I can perform far more easily because I have divided both numbers by the same number, 2 in this case, to create a simpler version of the same problem. Let's take a look at another example now just to consolidate that idea. 120 divided by 15. Once again, knowing my division or multiple times tables, I can see that both numbers either end in a 0 or a 5, which means that both are divisible by 5. So let's do that. 120 divided by 5 and 15 divided by 5. Doesn't want to write. Gives me new numbers to be divided. 120 divided by 5 is 24. And I'm going to divide that by 15 divided by 5, which is 3. My times table knowledge tells me that the answer there is 8. So you can see that in both cases, dividing both numbers by the same number gives me a much easier version to solve using my multiplication basic facts knowledge. It's really, really important, just recapping on the difference between multiplying using proportional adjustment and division using proportional adjustment. In the case of division, the same operation is performed on both numbers, whereas in multiplication you are going to divide one by a number and multiply the other by that same number. The end result is that you'll have a pair of numbers that are much easier to divide than the original ones.